Hello, I'm Bob Oppelt, principal bass player with the National Symphony Orchestra. Today I'd like to talk to you a little about spiccato, one of the most important bowing techniques for string players. Spiccato's been around since the 18th century. Before that time, spiccato and staccato were considered interchangeable terms. With the development of the tort violin bow, which greatly improved its ability to bounce, spiccato came into its own. Spiccato is a very important technique for bass players because the bass tends to be a very sluggish, muddy sounding instrument. So it's that much more important for bass players to get a good handle on the spiccato technique. At some point you should be aware that this is important for you to get enough leverage into the string. You will have to do this a little bit of a seesaw. So you can isolate the rebound of the bow by simply dropping it without any horizontal motion. So at the tip, see it's a fast bounce. Middle, it's a little bit slower, maybe more of them. At the frog, there's very little bounce at all, okay? Because you're very close to the fulcrum and you have the weight of the hand practically right over the string. Alright, so what I'd like to do is explore some excerpts which are mostly where spiccato is featured and where I think students quite often have trouble with these excerpts. Okay? So, number one, is the Badinerie from Bach's Orchestral Suite No. 2. Hold the bow about 2 inches above the string. What is a good idea here? Put the bow on the string before you play and then lift it about 2 inches off after that. So what you're doing is you're measuring the distance that you have to throw the bow into the string rather than just making a wild guess, okay? So put it on, you're getting ready to play with the flute, and you lift it up. Okay, so the instrument resonates, and quite often when I have a student play this for me and they've been playing it on the string, they kind of have an aha moment where it's like suddenly they hear the instrument resonate. It's a much more beautiful and light and stylish kind of sound. All right. When you get down to the double bar, there's a low F sharp. You might have to play that first F sharp on the string because the string is so long there that it's just going to require quite a bit more force than what you're capable of to spiccato. It's possible. So I play the first one on and then go right off. Okay? All right, let's look at another excerpt. Here we have Beethoven's Fifth. Third movement, the trio. It's on every double bass orchestral audition. All right? And with good reason. These running eighth notes need to have great clarity, and they're fairly low on the instrument. So you need to be able to play spiccato. If you do it on, it's going to be muddy and not have the right style. So, okay, should be nice and clear. Now, how do you begin playing off the string? Do you just go? Well, you have a pickup quarter note, so you can be on the string for that, and then lift the bow off for the first eighth note. You're going to have to come in from off the string to get enough bite. Okay, so what I do is come in for the quarter note a little bit from off the string as well, and follow through with the weight of the hand, because otherwise you don't have enough power there. You get a little bit of lift both sides of that note. Okay? Alright. Later on, if you can, when it becomes piano, a lot of players as it gets quieter, they suddenly go on the string. Still keep it off the string. You need to move a little bit beyond the middle of the bow to be able to get it to come off the string. Okay? All right. Let's look at Brahms 2. Okay. So letter E in Brahms 2, first movement, is also quite frequently appearing on bass auditions. That's because it checks your rhythm, accuracy of the rhythm, but also clarity of your articulation. Okay, so we have dotted rhythm to begin with, 3 octaves E. All right, so a lot of players play the first note, the bow stays on the string, and then they play the next 2 notes, or the middle note on the string as well. So the best way to do it is to let the bow start on the string in a low E, let the bow follow through and come off in a circular motion, and now you're ready to throw the bow back in the string for the middle E. Okay, that's the right kind of sound, and again the instrument's more permitted to resonate. So in the next measure, same thing. Follow through, come off. Notice how immediately I'm kind of recovering my hand for a throw closer to the frog for the 16th. So, circle, come away, same thing. Come back in from off the string. All you're using is a little bit of throw, and then also the hand itself bringing in a little extra power. Okay? Let's see. Also in Brahms 2, the 4th movement, letter A, there's kind of an explosion in the orchestra of running 8th notes. Okay? So, I think the best thing to do is to come immediately from off the string into that first C sharp. So you need a good articulation there, and if it's on the string, it's not enough power. Very compact stroke. Okay? You can slow this down to try to get the kind of bite that you need. Then you isolate what your hand has to do. Really throwing almost every note into the string, okay? Okay? So come in from off the string with a hard attack. You've been accenting that first note. Okay. Next I'd like to look at tone poem Don Juan by Richard Strauss. Very opening. Okay. Sometimes we, at the NSO, we put these first 4 measures on bass auditions because you have to know what you're doing with the bow. All right, you got. What do you do with that triplet? Do you just play it where you end up on after the half note? No, you're too weak out at the tip, so you have to come closer to the frog. You can do it then on or off for the triplet. I like it a little bit off. Adds a little clarity, and it's kind of more of the swashbuckling feel rather than the seriousness. Okay. You could also be on the string down bow, which will get it louder. However, style. Remember, style is always important. So, okay. Put it a little bit off the string. Down bow, recover. and throw the bow into the string. At the end of that first whole measure, you have a dotted rhythm. So there, again, position the bow above the string for the G natural, accelerate the drop with the hand, so we get good bite to it, and recover for the 16th. Okay. Lift off again, recover. Circular motion, recovering with the circle. Okay. Down at letter A, I've seen a lot of students play this on the string. Sounds good, sounds kind of melodic, but it needs to have more clarity, I think, and power. So what you do is you throw the bow into the string for each set of triplets. See, bringing the hand down, you have to hold on to the bow quite firmly. So come in from off the string for that. Down at letter B, we have similar triplets. Okay, if you're just on the string, you miss the articulation. It sounds too serious. Throw it in from off the string, and you'll get a little bit of rebound to help you with the notes that follow immediately. Okay. All right. My music together here. So, and also left after letter O in Don Juan, you have his 16th notes marked Rapidamente. So you can be on the string with that, or you can be a little bit off. I like it a little bit off the string. It's plenty easy. You're not any more difficult than being on the string because you're throwing the bow in initially, and look how much rebound there is. And then again after the half note, recover off the string for all those. Throw, throw, throw. Okay. All right. Now we're going to look at Mahler's Second Symphony, which appears on many orchestral auditions. Why? Because we need to play loudly, but clearly. Very opening with the basses and cellos. You have. Okay. Might need a little more rosin on my bow, but so you have to decide, are you going to be on the string or off? Here's on. Okay, let me try to play it louder with that. Okay, couldn't quite hear the C well enough, didn't have enough clarity. Let me try it a little off. Everything sounds clear. Now let me try the same thing, attacking it more. That sounds pretty good. Alright, so that's what I think you should do. About 3 or 4 inches from off the string, hold the bow really tight. And karate chop, the very first note. Need a little bit more rosin than I have right now. Okay? And then on the string. Okay. So we have a lot of dotted rhythms here on this first page. So it's the same thing kind of like the Brahms 2. You don't want to be on the string. You want to be, let the bow come flying off, and then you're ready to throw it back in. describing a circular motion clockwise here, right? And you help it along with your hand as necessary, your fingers. Okay? All right, let's look at Mozart 39. We're going to be looking at the last movement of 39, where you have these repeated sequences. Okay, so some players do this all on the string. Okay, you can get a little bit louder that way than being off the string, but if you have a if you're in a hall where there's enough reverberation, enough sound, and you have a good conductor, maybe he's more interested in style and the interplay between the upper strings and the lower strings. So you can get a little bit off the string. Every one of these sixteenths that does not have a slur, it has a dot over it. Right? Well, what does that mean? Well, I think you can go. So, add a little clarity and bite to it. Just from about 1 inch above the string. Now the bow's pretty much going to be held into the string, but because you don't force it into the string too much, it's allowed to come off a little on its own accord. Okay. Alright. So, consider that the next time you play Mozart 39. A little more clarity, a little more style. Okay. Let's look at Mendelssohn's Fourth Symphony, the Italian finale, which is also called Saltarello, which is the dance it's based on. So we have this triplet driving rhythm throughout. Okay, if you do it on, it's just going to be muddy. So need some rosin here, but so. Throw the bow into the string from 3 inches up, and then recover it, the same point, and then throw the bow into the string for the next 4 notes. Accent the final one, and then you recover in your position to do it all over again. It's fairly firm in the arm to make sure you provide enough force into the string. Hand and fingers pretty much throwing the bow into the string. Now later on, we have some eighth notes. Okay, so we want the eighth notes to be good and clear, but we also have a slur stuck in the middle here. There. Okay. Well, how do we transition from spiccato to legato and back again? Okay, so coming from spiccato to legato, not that difficult. Just hold the bow into the string, make sure it doesn't bounce off. But what about playing the eighth note after the slur? Well, what you do, instead of sandwiching the separate eighth note to the slurred one, shorten the second eighth note, give it a little accent to compensate for the fact that it's a little shorter, and to also cock the hand for the next note. So what you're going to do in the process is recover a little bit with that little accent and when you lift the bow off the string. Like that. So, a little bit of this. French bow, you would do that kind of motion. Okay? Okay? All right. Let's look at Schubert's Ninth Symphony, the Great. very opening of that, I've had students play for me and they're entirely on the string with that. Because they just can't imagine it. This doesn't occur to them to play it off the string. But you can and should, okay? So, okay, so come in from about 4 inches off the string and attack with the right hand while you throw. So you're dropping the hand and you're accelerating at the same time. Basically this. To get these quarter notes off the string, play the first one, come in for the second one, then you're going to have to recover for the third note. So this is where this, again, we're describing a circle. Play the middle, the second note. You do this because you can get to the same part of the bow to get the same sound, right? Plus, if you didn't recover, you would go right to the frog, and you're stuck there and you can't play the following eighth notes, okay? 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 So that should be off the string. Let's see here. Next, I'd like to look at Stravinsky Pulcinella. Quite a bit of solo material for the bass in it. The first passage of significance is toward the beginning from the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 measure, doubled by the trombone and trumpet, although I think they're an octave higher. They are marked fortissimo, accented, marcato. The bass is marked fortissimo, 3 Fs, marcato. On top of this, you have 2 horns, also marked triple F, marcato. So, if you're a bass player, good luck. Okay, but you blend the sound. That's basically what you're doing. However, you have to figure out how do you play that loud and that aggressively. Well, the only way to do it, in my opinion, is to play it close enough to the frog and spiccato with retakes for every measure. Okay? That's a little better on my part. Sorry if I haven't practiced that. Now, when you get down to after the double bar, we have some scales, basically C major scales. Each one with a staccato mark over them. Okay, so they should be incredibly short. So you can go up the G string. First of all, just agree they should be off the string to be clear. Not, it's just not going to be clear. So you can go on the G string. There's a lot of real estate to cover going straight up there. Some guys start over here and they play it up the D string. Okay, I don't really quite like that because it's kind of muddy here on the D string. What I do instead is kind of a mix of the two. I start here, now I go to the G string because it's pretty easy to go from here. It's more difficult from here. So, to get a nice and clear spiccato, you have to start it from off the string. So we're throwing the bow from about 2 inches up. So you can start with just 2 notes when you practice it. Okay? And then you're going to continue spiccato. Okay? Throwing the bow for every note, getting the bow a little bit lower as the scale progresses, and trying to resist the urge as the energy builds. Try to resist the urge to go any closer to the frog, because you're just going to undermine yourself. Because if you get closer to the frog, it's going to flatten out that arc a little bit. Okay, and actually you don't need that much power. You'll need a little less power. If I come close, it's going to choke it. Okay. All right. Let's see. There's another Stravinsky excerpt that just occurred to me. It's A Soldier's Tale. Devil's Dance has also some very fast spiccato notes. It should be clearer there. So for that one, again, start off the string, hold the bow. First of all, you can break this up into like thirds. First 4 notes, okay, and then the next. But you hold the bow across over the string to start it, but you're actually going to have to be, the arc of the bow or the plane of the bow is going to have to be even a little bit more beyond where you would need just for clearance. So a little bit more this way. Why? Give you a little more power that you're going to need, especially to get the rebound for the following notes. Okay? All right. Next, we're going to touch on Giuseppe Verdi from the opera Falstaff, Act 3, Part 1, which is on most opera auditions. Okay? So, technique for spiccato can change based on the tempo. This is a very kind of moderate tempo. It's if it were slower, it'd be easier. If it were faster, it'd be easier. But it's just right in this zone, which is almost like a no-go zone. Just kind of tricky there. Add to that, it has to be pianissimo and very clear. So let's see. So you're going to be more toward the tip than we've played yet here. So here's the middle. We're going to be up here somewhere. And get nice and light. Fairly high bounce. Okay? So start from off the string, and you'll see that the hand is pretty busy powering that. And also my elbow, moving here. The elbow is a great engine for spiccato. What you're basically doing is extending the arm a little bit, so it's straightening it, but it's also sending your hand right and left when you extend and straighten. Okay, so that helps empower the stroke. That's how that is done. Now, there's another technique of off the string, which maybe we should touch on, is called sautiller. In French, Italian, it might be saltando. If we take the same excerpt and speed it up, it can easily be played with sautiller. So sautiller, the idea is the bow basically bounces by itself due to the resiliency of the stick, and it's fast enough that even if you wanted to, you can't really give an impulse for every note. So if I were to play this faster, okay, that's fast. That's louder too. That's pretty easy. Not much to it, but it's when you have to slow it down. You have to control the distance between these notes, time and physically this distance. But so for sautiller, you can start that from off the string or on. I like to start it just coming from off. Give you a little extra rebound to get it going, right? Pretty effortless. Elbows moving, wrist, fingers. Okay. All right. Those are the orchestral excerpts I wanted to touch on today. There are a lot of good etude books to help you learn and practice spiccato. Let me share with you what my favorites are at this point. I still use some of the older etude books. I don't have them in front of me, but the tried and true ones are Sturm and Stork-Rabe. So for Sturm, I identified at least 8 etudes that focus on spiccato. They are numbers 8, 11, 12, 17, 23, 26, 37, and 47. All right? These are great etudes in that they're not so long that they tire you out. The second etude book that I like and I've used for many years is Stork-Rabe. No. There are two good spiccato etudes in there, specifically numbers 8 and 12. My all-time favorite, though, was introduced to me in my first year of playing. My teacher first year was Milton Weisiegel. He was a great bass player. He was principal of the Greater Bridgeport Symphony and the New Haven Symphony Orchestra, a graduate of the New England Conservatory back in the 1940s. He gave me an etude book that was last published in 1975. It was Sevchik, but edited by Abe Luboff, 20 exercises. And I used it Xerox for many, many years. I always copied that Xerox. And recently was trying to find a hard copy edition of that, or hard copy of it, to no avail. Did a little bit more research and learned that Mr. Luboff basically borrowed straight from Sevchik 40 exercises, and that is over here. So I've got a cello edition of the same 40 variations, arranged by Fouillard, and they're pretty much the exact same things that Mr. Luboff did, only there are more of them. Okay. These are fantastic variations. They're short, so once you get the technique down, move on to the next one. So here are two which I think pretty much show how excellent these etudes are, as an example. This is variation 1, just the beginning of it. Okay, you have triplets on the string, and then you have 3/8 notes off the string. Okay, so you have to learn on the string, hold it, then you got to come off. You have to gauge the height of the drop, speed of the drop, the effort, how much bow you use, etc. So we want to do those like pizzicato. Okay, so that's an excellent etude. Another one of my favorites is number 5. So the rhythm is. So it's almost like a little dance. It's really fun to play. So you have the 2/8 notes. Second one is short. That's your opportunity to bring the bow off the string and get it in place for the next note, which is going to come in spiccato. So, present the bow. Present it. Okay? So it's excellent to just learn how to manage all aspects of playing spiccato. All right? So, again, Sevchik, Opus 3, 40 variations. All right. So, that's what I wanted to touch today. Not an in-depth look at excerpts, but really focusing on spiccato, understanding spiccato, and how to begin a passage of spiccato notes. All right? It's been fun talking with you, and stay safe in these difficult times. Good luck.